Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm talking about the essence of spiritual practice, or at least the spiritual practice for enlightenment, awakening, self-realization. Pick your term. I don't know where I read this, but the phrase is stuck with me, and I find it still holds true. At least I think is a nice summary. Is it comes down to four things: self-observation, self-acceptance, self-understanding, and self-discipline. Ultimately, it comes down to self-observation. You're observing the me. You're also observing what you feel and think yourself to be. You're observing the conditioned responses and our reactions to things and seeing why they arose. It is this constant self-observation. You're observing what's going on here. And part of the self-discipline is to not to get distracted. Because there's so many more other shiny things around that will distract. But we need to regularly and over a sustained period, we need to self-observe. An event arises, say something happens, and the result is suffering. There's sadness, there's sorrow, there's frustration, there's anger, you name it. There's something where you're just not happy. And so you're observing this. But you're also delving more deeply and trying to see the root, where the root cause is. Where did this come from? This is still observing, but it's observing more deeply. It's not a superficial observation. It's not like, yes, I see the reaction and the reaction goes. Well, you didn't learn anything. There's eventually this leads to self-understanding. And the understanding arises when we delve more deeply. And so something arises, and as we're delving more deeply, we will see things. And this may sometimes require self-acceptance. Whatever is seen, we have to accept. Denying it won't help. Denying it, avoiding it. I mean, if you've been a long time seeker and practitioner of non-duality and you delve into something and you realize the me is believed, even though you also say, I know there's no me. But when you delve into something and you see, oh, the me is believed, you have to own it. You have to accept it. Yes, I know one part of me thinks there's no me, and I believe there's no me. But obviously something else is going on, because as I'm delving more deeply into the roots and how things arose and this self-observation, I'm realizing the me is still believed. And so you have to accept this. If you deny it, then you're ceasing to look at it. You're ceasing to observe. Self-acceptance is always part of self-observation, because you have to accept whatever is seen. You can't not accept or try to deny what is seen, because then you're turning away or no longer looking. So it's constant observation and looking at it and going more deeply, ever more deeply. And so you may see the roots of some reaction is some conditioning, a belief in a me, whatever happens. But you're just continuing to delve down there. And sometimes there's levels and things buried underneath, because say frustration or anger arises, well, you delve under that. It might be fear. There's sometimes emotions cause other emotions, and so you have to delve underneath and go, what's the root? What's the cause? And the way you do this is by just constantly observing, delving more deeply. You're looking for the root. What's the root? What's the cause? Where did this come from? And you keep going deeper and deeper, further and further back. And as you're totally accepting, not turning away, you're self-accepting, you're accepting everything that's seen, and you just keep observing, delving more and more deeply, as there is a seeing, because the observation is the looking. So as you're looking and looking, you start seeing things. You start seeing patterns. You start seeing why things arose. Why things happened. And as you continue delving into what you're observing by continuing to look, you start seeing more and more and more. And this seeing more and more and more means understanding. And so self-understanding arises. You understand the causes, the roots, things like that. And again, the self-discipline kicks in primarily in not getting distracted. Because there are tendencies. Like in the Western world, we've become very superficial in our observation skills. Because there's so much going on and it's busy, busy, busy. We look at things, and as soon as we think we know, we cease looking. We look away. That's why when people look around, they actually notice very little what's going on, because they just go, tree, person, as they're looking around, they're like, it's known, it's known, it's known, it's known. And so they never look beyond a superficial level. And so the self-discipline part is also never allowing that conditioned, reflex to take the easy answer, to take the superficial answer, to ever keep observing and delving more deeply. What's behind that? What makes this unique? That kind of thing. Because if you're looking at the self, because if something keeps arising in life, be it attachment, regret, whatever you're finding keeps arising that you don't want to keep arising, it keeps arising because something is fundamentally not seen. You have yet to see something. And as long as it remains unseen, it will keep arising. That's just the way it works. And so the proof, so to speak, in it hasn't been seen is it keeps coming up. There's more to see. It all hasn't been observed. You haven't delved deeply enough. And so the self-discipline is to keep delving more deeply. The mind might go, yeah, I got it now. You just got to go, no, there could be more. Out of curiosity, let's keep going. What else is here? What else is there to see? In knowing, other things, if you think other things, the changing things around you will attract more attention. So it'll be harder to focus. And so part of the self-discipline is to keep looking, even if nothing seems to be changing. Not even needing it to change. I never advocate self-examination, self-investigation. In this case, we're using the term self-observation. But I never advocate doing this for the purpose of getting rid of something. You're not doing this to cause a change. It's that intent kind of muddles it up a little bit. It's better just to have curiosity and go, I'm going to keep looking because I'm curious to know. And it's not about trying to get rid of suffering or get rid of a regret or something else. It's just, I'm curious, where is this coming from? But there's a certain amount, I guess, faith in that once it is understood, once there is self-understanding, it will likely fall away on its own. Because a lot of this is arising because it's unconscious conditioning. It's unconscious beliefs. It's unconscious, uninvestigated concepts. And once it's all brought to the conscious mind, that alone changes things. But I find it comes down to this four things, and they're all kind of tied together. It's self-observation. You just got to keep looking. And out of curiosity, keep looking. And not accepting any superficial answers, or if the mind goes, yeah, I got it. You keep looking and go deeper. What else is underneath? What other causes? Is there some other aspect I haven't seen yet? Just out of curiosity, you just keep looking and observing. What is going on here? What is really going on? And of course, whatever you see, you got to accept. And go, what's behind that? What caused it? You just keep accepting and observing. And in the self-discipline of not getting distracted and not accepting superficial answers, you keep going deeper. And eventually, self-understanding arises. And this really is the essence of spiritual practice in terms of self-realization, awakening, enlightenment, even overcoming suffering. That is the basic essence of overcoming suffering or things you want to overcome in life. You just need to observe and look deeply and see the causes, the roots. And so, something to keep in mind. One last time. Self-observation, self-acceptance, self-understanding, self-discipline. Don't know why those four stuck in my head from something I read years ago, but I find it is the essence of spiritual practice for overcoming suffering and realizing who and what you are and awakening. But if you got any questions, comments, please post below. And as always, thank you much.